Hi everyone, welcome to the 2021 Drugs, Alcohol, and Impaired Driving Conference in Orlando, Florida. I'm here with Tim Jorgensen of Innocorp with his Fatal Vision product. He's here to talk to us today about what that offers and what the development looks like and so forth. So Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got?
All right. So what we do is we create products that educate on different types of impairment, whether it's alcohol. We have our new alcohol-marijuana combination, concussion, drowsiness, distracted driving, marijuana, and opioids. And so obviously the drugs are what we're most interested in here at the DAID conference here. So yeah, our alcohol goggles have been around since '96. So this was the original Fatal Vision goggle. And we recently have a new frame on this. So we're very happy after 20 plus years, we redesigned the frame. So we're happy to show that as well as our new products.
Very cool. So you guys recently just came out with a new goggle. What was the newest one that you guys came out with?
So the newest one is our alcohol and marijuana goggle. It deals with THC and the combination with alcohol, which is becoming more and more of an issue, where people are getting on the road with both substances on board. So yeah, the states that are recording with marijuana being legalized, they're seeing that there's just as much on the road with both substances as just marijuana only, or if not more.
Definitely.
So that's a major issue, and then we're trying to educate on, and yeah, we're becoming more and more legalized. This is becoming more and more of an issue as if you're at a party, they have both offered. It's why not have both? Unfortunately,
it's very common, definitely. So I got to try the alcohol goggles out yesterday, and definitely you can tell when you have the goggles on that it creates psychophysical impairment. It makes it very hard to walk a line and so forth. I think we're going to demo that a little bit later. But how do the marijuana goggles work as far as trying to replicate impairment?
So the marijuana goggles, what they use is a lens filter. All right. So the way we describe it is when someone uses recreational marijuana with THC, what that ends up doing is creating a chemical filter where different bits of information are filtered. You may focus on one thing, but other things that may be around that thing may be filtered out. You're like, oh, I can really focus on this thing, but then that may or may not be relevant to the situation. That color fascinates you, that object fascinates you, that thought process fascinates you. But then there's all these other things happening around that you may not, that may be important to driving that you may miss. So what we did is how the impairment relates to is think of it's chemical distracted driving, chemically induced distracted driving. So imagine if you're distracted driving, talking on the phone or something, coming to a red light, and you're really deep in that conversation, and so you see the light turn from yellow to red, and so you're so engrossed in that conversation, your eyes see that light changing, but your mind doesn't register. Oh, red means stop. Yellow means slow down. Red means stop. So what you end up doing is you go right through it. Nothing wrong with what you see, but cognitively that's a blind spot. In distracted driving, it's called inattention blindness.
Right.
So the question was, how do we cause something? How do we recreate a situation where something right in front of your eyes disappears? Where everyone else can see the whole thing, but everything else disappears. So we create a filter where it filters out a specific wavelength of information. Well, they have to do a task, and they're put in a situation where they have to respond to a cue, and that cue disappears, and the struggle they have accomplishing the task mimics the struggle that someone under influence of THC is carrying out a task, whether it's divide attention failure, or with use of field of view, with short-term memory, perceptions and response impairment. So that's what we've done. It's a long answer, but it's actually a good way to mimic that, and we've had very good response from people who've actually done the activities with the goggle, not the goggle itself, but the activities with the goggle. That's where the impairment is.
That makes sense. So to dispel any kind of the criticism, it's not meant to, if somebody's had prior use with cannabis or marijuana, it's not going to make them feel high, but it's going to mimic the same kind of impairment that you might have while you're under the influence of cannabis.
Exactly, and that's a very good point, because what we've done is people ask us, well, do these goggles make you high? Well, no, they don't. What we've done is we've taken the high experience, we've extracted the impairments, and the poison within the apple, and we've put it into activities that highlight that impairment. So people can, because the impairment from marijuana is more subtle. It's not like alcohol. It's very different. And so it's because it's so subtle, people think, oh, it's much safer. Well, there's certain situations where that impairment's going to bite you. And so we show that, hey, this is the situation where that impairment's going to get you. And so we want you to be aware of that. Because all these other situations are going to be fine. But this situation, that's where it is.
Definitely makes sense. I think a key thing that you said there too is you're talking about awareness necessarily. Yes. It's not a criticism of what the substance is or whatever it may be. It's just making sure that people are aware. I'm sure just like I do on my channel that I don't have an opinion on it. It's more or less I just want the public to know that they're not and they shouldn't be out driving and being impaired at the same time. So we want everybody to be safe.
Yep.
And you do what you want to do, but we want to make sure that we're not out hurting anybody else on the roadways.
Right.
So with the products, you talk about awareness. I can see these being really useful in a community setting when you go out and you're trying to educate the public. Is that kind of the gist of what you're?
Definitely. It is more educational and awareness. That's where it's used. It's been used in other situations, but that's where our forte is making people understand what impairment does. Because most people are just guessing, and that's why people are driving, because they have this optimistic bias that I can drive just fine. I've driven thousands of times. This time will be like no other, and not understanding how impairment is knocking the rug underneath them with from the taking away their driving skills.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a major issue when people go out, and all it takes is the one time, and ends a life, and that's what we're trying to prevent, right?
Trying to stay ahead of the curve and trying to bring those numbers down.
Definitely. So when you developed the product, how did you go about what's the science? Did you consult with anybody in particular, or is there any, what's the background behind it?
Yeah, so our alcohol goggles, we've worked with law enforcement, where they've done wet labs and things like that, where they, based on their estimation of someone's behavior on field sobriety tests, because we have different levels of BACs on the goggles. And so their behavior while wearing this strength of goggle during a certain field sobriety test, like walk the line, walk and turn, they say, well, based on their behavior, that range would probably be about from this range to this range. This one is like a 0.17 to 0.20. And so we also have the 0.07 to 0.10, 0.12 to 0.15. And so we have also a 0.25 and above, and also a 0.6 and a below. So we have a wide range to be able to show all the way from a binge drinking situation to impairment begins with the first drink, or also a hangover situation.
Right.
So each goggle can speak to a different lesson, but in terms of a training situation, we work with law enforcement to create that. Our newer goggles, the marijuana goggle, we've worked with drug recognition experts like yourself, and also instructors, people that are involved in creating the curriculums and the protocols for DREs to actually set up the activities around that. So it took a lot longer, because how do you create a cognitive impairment with a visual goggle?
Right.
I mean, that's tough. So we had to work with people and experts to not just create the goggle, but to create the activity that would simulate the impairment. So that's what we did, and that's for our marijuana goggle, our alcohol marijuana goggle, and also our opioid goggle as well. So
very cool.
Yeah. So it took a longer in development, but we had to get it right.
Definitely. Yeah, it sounds like there was a lot of research and effort put into it. It's definitely not a gimmicky thing. It seems like it definitely was thought out. And from my experience, just kind of running through some of the tests that we did yesterday, I can definitely see the validity in that. And so it's very cool to check those out.
Yeah. It's not just that, though. It's like we have to get the impairment right, but we also have to get the activity right. So it has to be engaging to the audience.
Right.
So it's very clinical. That could be very boring, but we also work with our target audience to be able to say, hey, does this activity relate to you? Are you engaged by this? And is there anything we can tweak to make it more engaging and still keep the accuracy? And so we listened and went back and forth, and so yeah, we've come up with a good balance.
That's awesome. Yeah, you'd mentioned with the Opioid Goggle that you had a prior experience with having prior users use that, and they were able to verify that the experience is very similar.
Yeah, with our Opioid Goggle, it's we do a couple things. Obviously, we have the impairment side. We deal with divide attention failure as well as nodding out. We have those different modes that work with the app to do that. But we also have a map that has all the different stories. We've taken the stories that people have given us and talk about a child neglect, or missing appointments, or bills not getting paid, and house being a mess, personal hygiene going out the window. These are heartbreaking stories. So we've created a map that kind of tells a story that with the impairment that people can use to actually use as talking points to say, hey, you've experienced the impairment, this can be the result, and this is what we want to avoid. And it becomes very impactful. And so for some people that were recovery experts and are formerly in that situation, they've said, wow, they had to take a step back. It was very triggering for a moment, not in a bad way, but just like, I remember this. I didn't like how that felt. Wow, this is good. This is amazing. You gotta try this. So that's awesome. That's what they say.
It's good to see that there's that much realism to the product. So that's a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, if we don't have anything else, I think we'll move on. We'll do some demonstrations with these, and we'll kind of show what the difference looks like with the impairment, and we'll kind of talk how the tests work and so forth, and how you can use these in a training situation for yourself. So we're back. We're going to do a ball test. I haven't done this one, so we're going to give it a run through and kind of see what that impairment looks like.
All right, Stefan. So we have 3 different balls that you're going to react to. All right. So we have a black, orange, and red. All right. So these all represent different driving actions and reactions. Okay. So the black ball represents driving actions you take. Okay. So when I toss this ball to you, it's going to represent a driving action, such as what's some driving actions you have to take normally on the road?
It's like steering, object avoidance, those kind of things.
Yep, so that would be a reaction. So normal actions you take are just like you maintain your speed, you use your turn signal, things like you maintain your lane your path of travel, stay in your lane. When you come to a stop sign, when it's your turn to go, you go. Just there's normal traffic rules that you have to obey, and driving skills you learn in driver's ed. Those are actions everyone expects you to take. So when I test this ball to you, you're going to take it, and you're going to put in that box right there. Okay. So the other 2 colored balls are driving reactions, and so those would be, like you just said, the object avoidance. So you may be a great driver, but that doesn't mean everyone else is. So you could find that people, stop short, or people drift into your lane, or the weather changes, and so now you have to change your driving behavior based on the road conditions or road construction. So those are things you have to react to.
Okay.
So when I toss the orange or the red, you're going to make an evasive maneuver. You're going to sidestep and let them just go by. Okay. So you probably want to walk that, like that. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you what's going to be tossed. You just have to take an action or react and avoid. Okay. All right. So, all right. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. There we go. Good. Yep. And we'll stop there. All right, pretty easy.
Yeah,
all right. So scale 1 to 10, 1 being easy, 10 being hard. How's that?
Basically a 1 or a 2.
Yep.
Besides catching, that's about it.
Yep, it's pretty easy. So we're going to do this again.
Okay.
And this time we're going to see how recreational marijuana, or THC, would affect your ability to perceive and respond to a traffic situation.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to hand these goggles to you. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right, same deal, and I'm going to try and throw them as best I can. Oh, man.
that was an orange one.
All right, we'll stop right there. How well do you think you did?
Probably not great. Yeah, that was mixed.
All right, now this is the key point we want to get to. Again, obviously that you saw the filtering aspect of the goggle, where
Absolutely.
obviously it filters out a specific wavelength of color, which is red. So what that represents is the slow decision making, where you can't perceive a traffic situation correctly. There's other things that are happening, and you're like, what's that pedestrian going to do? Are they stepping out? Or I got to this, this traffic stop, a four-way stop. Is it my turn to go? Is it their turn to go? So there's action. So you can see there's actions you did not take,
Right.
and there's reactions that you did not make. And so and the point is this: the first time I tossed the ball to you, when were you making your decision of what you're going to do? Here?
Almost immediately as soon as I saw it in your hand, absolutely.
And that's what we do. When we're driving, we pre-make our decisions before the situation gets to us. We see that situation far ahead and say, I know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to react, and the timing in which I'm going to react.
Definitely.
While wearing the goggle, when were you making your decision?
Almost by the time it got to my hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if we could freeze frame, if we could get to right here, this is the point, that what your thinking process was, what am I going to do? But traffic is not slowing down for your slow decision-making ability.
Right.
And that's the point we're trying to get across.
That definitely makes sense.
Your ability to perceive and respond is impaired.
That's very cool. That's a great example of that.
Yep. It's an analogy we're trying to get across.
Right.
And it's not about the the balls, that the colors. What it is about the thinking process. So that's what we're trying to freeze frame and getting people to realize, oh, my thinking process is not where it needs to be.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. Very cool. All right, well, we'll take a look here. We'll clean this up, and we'll come back and we'll do one of the alcohol impairments.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're back. This time we have our assistant. This is Amy. She's my co-coordinator. She helps me run the DRE program up there in Nevada. So now we're back. She's going to do our demonstration for us with the alcohol goggles, and we'll kind of see what that impairment looks like.
All right. So Amy, we're going to do just get a quick baseline here. So what I want you to do is just walk, if you can, just walk heel to toe, arms to the side down the line here. Should be about 7 steps here. So go ahead. All right, very good. All right, excellent. Stefan, how'd you do?
Pretty good. Yep,
Pretty good. All right. So we're going to do this again. This time we're going to use our red label goggle, which is our BAC at 0.12 to 0.15. And unfortunately, that's the national average. When someone's pulled over for DUI, that's more often than not what they're blowing in the breathalyzer. So what we're going to do here is have you put those on. All right, Amy. We're going to see how alcohol affects your ability and your gross motor skills. All right. All right, you can stop there. All right. What was that like for you?
Blurry.
Yeah. Yeah, confusing. So, Stefan, if you pulled someone over and they walked the line like that, what would be the diagnosis?
Definitely be a good indicator that they're impaired. So saw a bunch of clues there from, raises arms, steps off line, can't keep balance, those kind of things, had to stop walking, all of that. So yeah, definitely good impairment that you'd see there.
Yeah, it's the alcohol goggles are a really good demonstration, and they're quick. I mean, you can lecture someone about the dangers of alcohol impairment, and show them all the crashes and everything, and those definitely have their place. But many times when people are drinking, they're looking for an experience, and so we counteract that by giving them an experience. So that whole thing probably took like a minute or so.
Right.
And so it's very a time-effective way to get the message across. And again, if you ask a simple question, like if you knew someone was on the road like that, it could be a loved one, on the road with them. Would you be safe with this kind of person on the road?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So, and it doesn't matter who they are. That's the answer we get 100% of the time.
Definitely. Yeah, and that looked very similar to what you would see with alcohol impairment. There was definitely no faking that. It looks pretty legitimate. So the goggles do a good job at obviously impairing your vision enough to where it affects your balance and coordination, and that's what it looks like. That is a good replication.
Yeah. Balance, targeting skills, they're very good with that. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so we're back with one of their other products. This is going to be the Opioid Goggle. This is another one I haven't tried yet, so I'm kind of interested to see how this looks and works out. It's kind of an interesting integration where there's a mobile app where you can hook that to the goggles, and it helps control how your vision looks and so forth. And I'll let Tim explain. He knows it a lot better than I do, obviously.
Yeah. All right. So what we have here is our Opioid Goggle, and to build this, we have a activity which we call Get It Together. And so this activity. So Stefan, when you look at this scene, what do you see? What's your general feel of it?
Seems like a family hanging out at their house, and everybody seems pretty happy and content, and everyone's doing kind of just day-to-day chores and stuff.
Yep. So yeah, like you said, everyone's happy, everything's in order. Bills are getting paid, people are up in the morning, kids are getting taken care of. Good nutrition, good hygiene. Good home in order. So that's all great. Now on the other side, same scene but different situation.
Things aren't kept up. The house is a wreck. Everything's kind of in dismay.
Yep. And unfortunately, this is the effects of opioid impairment and as well as addiction, the resulting addiction. So you see kids being neglected. People not making appointments. Day becomes night. Night becomes day. Bills not getting paid. Hygiene is going out the window. Good nutrition. The house is a mess. So nutrition is gone. So all this situation is 1,000 stories we've heard. Talking to people about and hearing just about the effects of opioids and the resulting destruction it has in people's lives. And so what we want to do is get it together. So what we have here is a two-sided puzzle. All right. So this puzzle, we want to recreate the good side, the good scene again.
Okay.
And so it's two-sided. So what we want to do is it's timed. And so what we'll do is you just start putting in the pieces down, and then work off that one piece. The pieces go to the edge. And you can line up the walls; those don't change.
Okay.
And so that makes it's a little tip to make it easier for you.
Gotcha.
All right.
Sounds good.
So you want to give it a try?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. All right. So we'll time you. So on your mark, get set, go. If it doesn't fit one way, just flip it over the other way.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Doesn't work. Yep, there you go. You got it.
So you're used to doing puzzles where they one-sided.
Yeah, I know. That's a little trick. It takes a little bit of thinking. So.
Let's go over here.
And me, just flip around the other side. So you don't have to flip the one side, this side over to the other side.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
All right, those are my helps for you.
Sounds good. All right, there we go.
There you go. And that was 1 minute 2 seconds. All right. So excellent. That's your baseline. All right. So now we're going to do what we're going to do is our first phase of opioid impairment, which is divide attention failure. Okay.
Okay.
So what we'll do is have you put those on. All right. All right. Okay. So this one, in this level of impairment, what you'll experience is your focus and your ability to concentrate is being taken away.
Okay.
So that's the first level of opioid impairment, is that your inability to focus and concentrate. Okay?
Okay.
And Mark, get set, go. So the people at home playing the home game can see your reactions and See how you're reacting to the impairment.
It's definitely distracting. I can feel the having to slow down quite a bit to focus and
All right, time's up. All right, so now the goggles are back to normal, and so you can see here, you know, before you were able to get it all together, but now with the first level of opioid impairment, you're starting to see things in your life start to slip. You may be able to put a good facade on some things, but then other things are starting to slip away.
right.
So, and those are all talking points, you know, about bills not getting paid, you know, maybe not eating as well as you used to, not have time to take care of the home, but maybe it's some hygiene, but some of the other stuff is not where it needs to be. All right.
Makes sense.
Second level,
All right.
which is nodding out. All right.
Okay.
So I put that piece down there, and I'm going to just give you some hand sanitizer. It's just our process right there.
Sounds good.
And let's put this right here. All right. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have you hold out your hands like this.
Okay.
And where it says left palm, all right, with your left hand, I want you to just put through and grab where it says left palm.
Good.
All right, there we go. And just snap that on, just like that. All right. And then same thing with the right hand, right through, and with the thumb through there, and then grab where it says right palm. All right, there you go. Perfect. All right. Same process. Now, what the weights symbolize is in the nodding out is your body's just isn't taking as much oxygen, and because you're not taking as much oxygen, that oxygen is not getting to your muscles, and so you feel that weight, and it's like you're just feel tired,
right?
And you just start to drop out, and and the people that are watching are gonna see this, and you're gonna experience this.
Okay.
All right. All right. Same amount of time. And your mark, get set, go. So this is a picture of someone on the nod. If someone's to YouTube people on the nod, that's what you look like. So this is the part where people who have experienced this before said this is very scary to them. They're like, wow, I remember this feeling. All right, time's up. So now the goggles are back to normal again. Here, I'll take those off. This is, Stefan, how was that like for you?
It was interesting. It's just, it's almost like falling asleep uncontrollably and not being able to focus on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish is very different. And from seeing people that have, been on the nod and being able to watch that experience as a police officer, I can almost understand and empathize what that looks like and what that feels like. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and so this obviously is an awareness tool, but one way we didn't expect it to be used is, as you said, empathy. Mm-hmm. Is maybe people know others that are in that situation. They can kind of empathize. Hey, now I understand what you're kind of going through. So it's awareness, like I don't want to be in that situation, but also I understand what someone else in that situation is going through. Maybe I treat them a little bit more compassion. So
it's interesting.
There's a few ways to look at it.
That's very cool. That was a good demonstration. I like that a lot. That's pretty cool.
Excellent.
I could definitely see the utility in that and being able to help explain that to people that haven't experienced that themselves. So.
Right.
Very
And
cool.
then it becomes talking points with what's on the mat here.
Right.
So,
very cool.
yeah. Excellent.
Well, Tim, thanks for letting me come out here today and meet with you and get to try all these demos out. It was really appreciated. I appreciate the interaction and what that looked like. It was fun. It was pretty impactful experiencing some of those different things and kind of understand what that looked like. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Where can people find your products at?
Well, you can go to our website, fatalvision.com. That's where you can find us. We also have on our website demonstration videos that you see some of our products, like what's that like to use that. We have the videos to kind of demonstrate that. We also have all of our package and pricing and stuff like that. So it's different communities have different needs, and so we try to package that to make that as easy for people to make decisions as possible. So you also call us 1-800-272-5023. We have great people that would love to talk to you. So also, if anyone has the product out there and wants to talk to me personally about that, I'd love to help talk through situations and demonstration ideas as well. So that's what I do. I'm in product development, and we love what we do. We love saving lives.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, go check them out at fatalvision.com. It's a great product. I think it has a lot of uses not only in the community but in a training environment. I can definitely see using these things for SFSTs and DRE just to kind of get that point across and kind of show even recruits and trainees what that looks like. So go check that out. We'll catch you later.